Hi, Daphne. How are you?
I am wonderful, Carver. How are you?
I'm great. Okay, so welcome to the Out of School webinar. This is one of the last ones we're going to have for a little bit. We're revamping the calendar for next year, and I think we're going to kind of do these a little more quarterly, similar to how we have the roundtables a little less often, so that they'll just kind of cover more content. But thank you for coming. And if you are on Slack, I posted some documents into the webinar chat channel. I definitely see some new names on here. So if you need those documents afterwards, just send me an email and I can get them to you if you have not received a Slack login yet. So if you could make sure to keep yourself on mute unless you're sharing, just so there isn't any background noise. If you're typing on your computer and you're not muted, we can all hear that. And then any questions or comments, you can type it in the chat box on Slack. And generally, try not to type in the GoToMeeting box. It's hard for us to read just with the way our technology is set up. And you can also just send me any messages afterwards, or always feel free to speak, as we encourage that. And that's what this time is for. So just again, reiterating our mission and vision. Our vision for Jobs for Michigan's graduates is that every young adult is educated and employed and career-bound, and our mission is to equip young adults with the skills to overcome barriers and win in education, employment, and as citizens. So today we are going to kind of go over the highlights from the Out of School Roundtable that we had a few weeks ago at Capital Area Michigan Works. I will share out a task list that I prepared for you as you're kind of wrapping up your year-end, some things that you'll need to keep in mind, and also as you move forward into the new program year, just covering some basic reminders about entering graduation dates and rosters, and again, talking about our new rosters for next year, and then any questions that you all have that we have not covered. So for those of you who came to the Out of School Roundtable, thank you so much. I thought it was a really great time for us to connect, and I just thought that the ideas that I heard were really great. I know that it's such a challenging time for people, or job for people to work kind of in isolation in these jobs, and just the chance for you all to be in the same room together, kind of hearing the same challenges, and then being able to problem solve and hear the different ways that you do things. I found that to be just kind of a great experience, especially since I'm kind of new and haven't got a chance to see all the specialists together in a room yet. So I enjoyed it. I hope you did too. I sent out this document to everyone who attended the roundtable, but if you did not and you would like this, I can definitely send it to you. Essentially, for the beginning of the day, what we did is each person broke into a small group, and they came up with a common challenge that they wanted another group to problem solve. And the most common challenge that was brought up was how to keep youth engaged, or how to re-engage youth in an out-of-school JMG program. So we know that that is a very common and frustrating challenge as you're working with youth who have left the school system and who are oftentimes very transient in their home lives and in terms of how you can contact them and so on. So this document has a lot of brainstormed ideas in terms of how to either keep those youth engaged or how to re-engage them, things that I would never have thought of because, you know, I'm not out there working with the youth every day like our specialists are. So lots of really good ideas. if you have questions about some of the specific ideas on here, you can reach out to me and I can specify what is on here, or I can follow up with the specialists who suggested them. But just different ideas that you can definitely use, that if you haven't thought of them. A lot of these we will also be following up with sessions at Summer Summit on, so specifically building trust and rapport. I know that a lot of groups suggested that's kind of the foundation of all of this. You know, if youth do not trust you, they are not going to keep coming back to the program. So that's a session that we will have at Summer Summit for out-of-school specialists. Definitely a lot of people who suggested using social media to connect with them. And if you don't want to use your personal Facebook page or Instagram or whatnot to connect with your youth, you can definitely make a JMG page. So we have some guidelines about doing that. Lots of suggestions about positive reinforcement and recognition ways that you can incentivize incentives and so on. Questions about if you can use JMG funds on those, and the answer is yes, as long as in your spending item you can connect that to a reason. So for example, if you're providing your youth with haircuts or bus tickets, if you're providing them with gift cards, you can connect all of that back to employability or education. Just make sure that you are being, honest and transparent, but then also you can get a little bit creative in how and why you are spending that money. So we absolutely encourage you to use your JMG funds in incentives. Again, that might be up to your specific program and manager on how you're spending your money, but we do not have extremely restrictive program spending like other programs have. So lots of ideas about how you can spend money. One of my favorite suggestions was from a specialist that instead of giving them a gift card that they might go resell, actually take the youth out to lunch or dinner to a place they've never been to. That's a great way to relationship build. The youth can learn soft skills that way in terms of going to the restaurant and interacting in that environment, and then also having you there for that relationship. So that was a challenge that we brainstormed a lot around. I don't know if anyone on the call has anything they'd like to add to that specific section, but lots of ideas there that we will again be continuing to discuss during Summer Summit. And then the second challenge that we discussed that day was how to help youth overcome life challenges while also meeting JMG competencies. So kind of a similar one, but this is a little bit more, I think, to like barrier removal. But then at the same time, this idea that the JMG competencies, they need to be meeting these. And something that I didn't get to say at the roundtable about this topic is that I think that instead of thinking of these as two different ideas, we should kind of think of them as complementing each other. So the JMG competencies are really meant to help youth overcome their life challenges. So if you look at the competencies, and those of you who are new, you might not know what they are yet, which is totally fine. They are in our Dropbox, so a place that we reference a lot, but we definitely encourage you to kind of become familiar with it. It's in many folders, but model services or out-of-school model would be one place that you can find it. And if you look at the 20 out-of-school competencies, this is what they were referring to in that question. So how do you help them overcome life challenges while, achieving these competencies? Well, one of the competencies is demonstrate effective independent living skills. So essentially, that competency, if you're wondering how should a student overcome life challenges and demonstrate a competency, this is that competency. If a student has a challenge of renting an apartment, if they have a challenge of they don't have a car, they need to get a driver's license, they aren't able to find childcare, maintain a job, they have addiction issues, challenge or competency 20 if you are working with them on that, you are delivering a model service on competency 20. So I didn't get a chance to kind of clarify that at the roundtable, and so I hope that makes sense that you know, all of these things, effective money management skills, computer skills, being able to problem solve and conflict resolution, that's going to help youth overcome challenges in life. So it's not really like they're two different things. They're all tied together. So we don't really want you all to think, oh gosh, I have to do these competencies and help my youth overcome barriers. We kind of like you to think that helping a youth, you know, get a job is helping them overcome their barriers and achieve in life. So kind of just a shift in how we think about it there. So other suggestions people had here is cadence of communication, partnering with community resources. That's a big one. I know that a lot of you already do that. One of the suggestions that I thought stood out is, you know, at the intake interviews, don't tackle barriers all at once, kind of tackle them in chunks, because otherwise they might get overwhelmed and kind of disengage. And another suggestion that I heard a lot is that youth kind of need to see something tangible up front and learn. You know, if they come in and after a couple months, if it will take a youth 2 months, or excuse me, 2 years to earn their GED or diploma, you might lose them. So what are the quick wins that they can get? What is it that you can help them achieve right away that is going to keep them coming and they know that they're going to kind of get something from this program? Another challenge were academic completion programs that, other than, this was specifically a specialist who had asked flexible GED programs. So basically, if a student cannot come to a center every single day and work in front of a computer, how else can they have access to completing their academics? So there are some resources there that your programs can look into. Some of them are free, some of them are not. Depends on how your program pays for this. And then the last one was tips and ideas for time management. We got some great suggestions from people there, because I know that all of you have probably 15 different job titles that you could go by. So I'm sure managing the many different requests that you have is very challenging, and I think some people had some really great suggestions here. And then in the bottom one was about how to make recruiting a little bit more efficient, which we will talk about that at, we'll have a session on that for Summer Summit as well. So this was, like I said, this was sent out. If you would like a copy of this and did not get it, please let me know. Is there anything anyone on the call would like to add about the roundtable that that I kind of missed, or that if you have a question, you weren't there, anything? Well, I guess about that section specifically. Okay, so then the second session, the managers kind of broke out and they had some problem-solving discussion, and then the specialist and I talked about curriculum and the fact that JAG is going to be revising their out-of-school curriculum finally, and we got a little bit of conversation done with that and some ideas. I will be following up with people moving forward. I will be helping the JAG committee to revise that curriculum. So really, this is definitely your chance to give me as much feedback as possible in terms of what you would like in the next out-of-school curriculum. They're hoping to release it in a year, so it will be a while. And in the meantime, I have been continuously working on out-of-school resources for you all, and I did start to get some good ideas about what is most useful for out-of-school specialists to have, specifically more one-on-one activities, shorter activities, more activities that students are engaged in using different forms of media. But any ideas like that you have, please send them my way. I will send as much feedback as I possibly can to the JAG committee when they are rewriting and revising the curriculum. And also, if you would like to send feedback on the actual competencies, I know that I think that some of these could be revised, either combined or revised a little bit. They are open to feedback on these specific competencies as well. So kind of, for example, I think that I just think that some of these they can take some feedback on. So please send that to me. I don't have a deadline for it yet, but once I do, I will let you all know. But anything that while you're working in the curriculum or with these competencies, just if something kind of comes up in your head, just send it to me whenever it comes up. And eventually I'll probably send you some kind of formal survey or questionnaire regarding the curriculum to get ideas from you all. So, but again, it's your chance. Don't let it pass. Don't let it pass you up, because once they revise it, then I think that will kind of be it. So moving on from that, we are wrapping up our program year for out of school, and I really appreciate everyone who got their data in by June 16th. So on Friday, I know that all of you were really diligent about that and moving your students to completed rosters, and our data is looking really strong for out of school. I'm really impressed with it. Tomorrow on the O&I, we'll be sharing out some highlights from our data, and I'm just really impressed with all of your diligence in terms of entering the data and getting it on time, and there will definitely be some programs and people who will be recognized for their work in that area. But as we enter the end of the program year, there's a few things that we need to keep in mind. One thing is that you have a lot of students who are graduating right now, which is great and really exciting. We love seeing their stories and their pictures. But as that's happening, you need to please remember to be entering, and it's okay if it doesn't happen right away, but eventually please enter their GED and diploma dates into their profiles. This document, which I uploaded to Slack, has a video tutorial on how to do that. So just make sure that you are entering their diploma. Otherwise, they show up as a non-graduate. So make sure that that date is being entered into their profile. And then you'll want to move that student to a follow-up roster. So something else that I didn't remember to mention at the roundtable is that I had a discussion with John McConnell from JAG National while he was here about moving students to follow-up, which was really interesting because it was a little bit different than what I had kind of heard before and what I had been mentioning to you all. And that is that if a student, previously we've been kind of mentioning and saying that once a student earns their GED or diploma, that you need to immediately move them to follow-up. And according to John, that's not necessarily the case. It's kind of that you can move a student to follow-up when you feel it is appropriate to move them to follow-up. So, for example, if you have a student who earns their GED or diploma and you don't think that they are ready to achieve a positive outcome in terms of education or employment, so they are not employed and you don't think they're going to be employed soon and they are not enrolling into post-secondary, you can continue to deliver them model services and keep them in the active phase of the program and then move them to follow-up when you think that that student is ready to enter that 12-month follow-up phase. That's a little bit different than what I had originally kind of understood, and so maybe that is for you all as well. But so it's just a little bit kind of, I think, more flexible in out of school than in the other, JAG models. So basically, make sure that you enter the student's GED and diploma date, even if you aren't automatically moving them to follow-up. And then if you would like to put them on the follow-up roster at that point, go for it. If you would like to wait for a little bit, you're welcome to do that as well. The one advantage to immediately moving them to the follow-up roster is that you are capturing that positive outcome in terms of their graduation. And then keep in mind that you have to do that 12 months of the follow-up. Generally, it's probably easiest for you all to just move them to follow-up when you exit them from WIOA. So it just doesn't, it's really like up to you, I guess, is kind of what we kind of got from John on that. So just to clarify that, but make sure that you are kind of keeping track of that. So I have a question from Umar here. I want to make sure that I answer. So even if they've received over 80 hours, yes, that's absolutely okay if they've received over 80 hours. So let me repeat the question for those of you who didn't see it. Lamar asked, even if they've received over 80 hours, it's okay to continue to deliver model services? Absolutely. The 80 hours is an average. So kind of the idea that like you might have some students that require really intensive services and some students that you will definitely have students that you will deliver much less than 80 hours to, because they'll come in, they might really not need a whole lot of support in terms of getting their GED and getting a positive outcome. And they will not need a full 80 hours of contact hours before they're exited, and that's understandable. So the 80 hours is an average, so good question. So these are other things that, so just this document in general, I hope that it's helpful for you in terms of, basically I was just kind of thinking, okay, specialists, they have so many things they have to do and remember. Here is what you need to do when you have a student enroll on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, and then as you're exiting them. So look through this, and during this time of year, it doesn't follow it as fluidly as in multi-year and alternative, but when you are moving students to follow-up, these are the things that you need to be doing. Basically making sure that those model service entries are accurate, entering their post-test scores and so on. And then this year, or at this time, we had some of you moving students to completed rosters. So I will send this out to you. I did post it for you to look through right now if you'd like to. But this is basically just a little checklist, and then all of these links over here either have a tutorial on YouTube for you to follow or documents in Dropbox that you can look at for resources that refer to what we're doing, what the task is. So that should be helpful for moving forward when you are starting to enroll new students this year and continuing to move students to follow up. And so then lastly, as we continue to move, close out this program year, I covered this a little bit in the last webinar, but just want to reiterate that June 30th is the last day, and then July 1st, which I'm pretty sure that very few of you will be working that day since it's right around a holiday weekend. So whenever you're in the office again after July 1st, you're going to move students, move all of your students who are currently on an active roster and staying on an active roster, you're going to roll them over. So, and actually this I need to rephrase since I sorry, I'm confusing you. I need to change number 2 based on what I just said about the moving the students to follow up based on kind of your preference. But so on July 1st is when you'll start your new active rosters for the next program year, which the directions are down here for how to do that. And the bullet point down here re-clarifies again that if you have students who are disengaged do not roll them over, and you are going to roll over all follow-up students who are still receiving follow-up, and do not worry about any completed rosters. We are done with those. Those are locked in. You don't need to worry about anything completed until, well, unless some of you got directions on completed stuff that you'll do throughout the year, but don't worry about completed rosters. So basically on July 1st, or whenever you're in the office after that, you'll be creating your new rosters. Are there any questions on new out-of-school rosters at all?
Yeah, I have a question, Kara.
Sure.
So I had a student that I did an initial test and survey with last week. Does it make sense to add him to my current roster and then roll him over on July 1st, or should I just wait till July 1st to add him?
That's a good question. It's kind of up to you. Are you delivering model services to him right now?
Yes. But he's a WIOA kid, so either way I'm going to be doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's probably easiest just to start him on July 1st. Okay. I would say there's really not like a huge push to get him enrolled right now, so it's fine if you just hold off and enroll him on July 1st. Yeah, okay. Good question.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And similar to that, if you have students that you're waiting, that have like just graduated and you're getting ready to move them to follow-up, it makes sense also to maybe just wait until July 1 and put them on a follow-up roster then. Because otherwise, they're essentially going to be on like 2 different follow-up rosters, and it gets really just kind of annoying and confusing. So if you would like, you know, if let's say you had like 6 kids graduate in June, or, you know, get their GED in June, it's totally fine for you on July 1 to just start a new follow-up roster with those 6 students, if that makes sense.
I have another question, Sarah.
Yeah, go ahead.
What if we have a student who, I'm thinking of one in particular, who she's kind of on the cusp. She has not been returning my calls, but I just happened to see her in the grocery store yesterday, and I know she's still around, and she is still going to school, but some things in life have kind of gotten in the way, so I'm kind of on the fence with whether or not I should roll her over. I don't really know how to make that decision.
Yeah, I would not roll her over if you have, if she is disengaged, I would not roll her over. And then if she re-engages in the program, it's really easy to just re-enter her profile, or I think that we still could roll her over at that point. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think the main reason that we don't want you all putting people on the active roster that are disengaged is it just kind of, it doesn't reflect as positively on the work that you're doing. So essentially it shows that there are students, it seems as though there are students that you're not delivering services to. And oftentimes it happens, like in this case, in many cases where you get inherited caseloads. So the best that you can, students that, if you have a student that you might re-engage, you can just re-enter their profile.
Okay.
Yep.
Hey, Cara, this is Daphne.
Hey, Daphne.
Hey, I have a question because my out-of-school specialist, Kenyatta, who inherited a roster. And so I just heard you say that for those, so because he inherited, he really should, for his 17-18, really roll over those that have achieved their GED for 16-17 and then begin to create his own active 17-18. Am I understanding that?
So the students that achieve their GED or diploma should be moved to a follow-up roster.
Exactly. Yes, I got that.
To a 17-18 follow-up roster.
Yep.
The students that have not achieved a GED or diploma that are on his active,
Mm-hmm.
but that are engaged, that he has contact with,
Mm-hmm.
that he's delivering services to, he'd roll them over onto a new active roster.
Mm-hmm.
If there are students that are disengaged, like that he's unable to get a hold of, that are like, I don't know who you are, I don't want anything to do with this program, then he would not put them on the new 17-18 roster.
Makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, and great question. So Lupe asked, do you need to re-enter their profile manually when rolling over to, so no, you do not. Essentially, what you'll do is, let me repeat the question. She asked if you need to re-enter a profile manually when you're rolling over rosters. So essentially what you're going to do is, let me just show you an example if I didn't already do it. What you're going to do is, let me do here, new roster. You're going to create out of school active for 2017-2018. Click submit. It's going to ask you if are any participants continuing from a previous year. You will click yes. And there's only one showing up here because this is a test group. So I would just click this one, but for you all, every student that's on your roster, you'll see options for them. So you would just select which ones that you are going to roll over and which ones, and then if it's a student, like I said, that is disengaged, you just won't select them. Yep. So so creating a new roster is really not that difficult. And then same thing for creating your new follow-up roster. So you'll do the same thing. Yeah, so I should have showed that a while ago. I didn't even think about that. So good question, Lupe. Thank you. Okay, any other questions about rosters for next year or any other topics that I haven't covered? Something else that is coming up is, as you've been hearing a little bit about Summer Summit, Beth and I are finalizing the agenda for that, but we're really excited because there's going to be a lot of sessions specifically for out of outschool. I've reached out to a lot of people and specialists who will be hosting it. We'll have some outside partners coming in to host them. So we'll be sending out registration soon, but I think that you all will be really happy with the options for you. It's going to kind of be set up where there isn't just one session all day. There will be kind of like breakout sessions that you can choose from. So definitely, I think it will be really great in terms of more time for you to collaborate and specifically focus around out of school and professional development, problem solving, and so on. So I think that was all from me. Yeah, tomorrow we're going to be talking about Out of School 505, and it's very exciting. So thank you all for all of the work that you do for out of school students. It's definitely reflecting in our performance outcomes. It's really impressive what we're seeing this year, especially considering that you're working with the most challenging population of anyone across the state. So send any follow-up emails that you have to me so I can send you these documents if you need them. And have a great night, everyone.
Thank you.